The book of Job begins with a man who has no idea he is about to become the center of a spiritual battle. From the ground, Job's story looks like disaster. One day, his life is stable. He has wealth, family, respect, health, a name, a future. The Bible describes Job in Job 1:1 as blameless and upright, a man who feared God and turned away from evil. Then everything collapses. One messenger arrives, then another, then another. The oxen are gone, the donkeys are gone, the sheep are gone, the camels are gone, the servants are dead, and then the worst message of all, his children are dead. All of them. In a single day, Job's life goes from fullness to ashes. And then, as if the grief were not enough, his body breaks too. In Job 2:7-8, Satan strikes Job with painful sores from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head, and Job sits among the ashes, scraping himself with broken pottery. His wife is shattered. His friends arrive and eventually start accusing him, and Job is left trying to understand how a righteous man can suffer like this. From earth, it looks random, cruel, meaningless, unexplainable, but the reader knows something Job does not. Before the pain reached earth, a conversation had already happened in heaven. In Job 1:6-12, Satan appears among the sons of God, and God says, "Have you considered my servant Job?" And Satan's accusation is chilling. He does not say, Job is secretly evil. He does not say, Job never believed. He says, in effect, of course Job worships you. Look at his life. Look at his protection. Look at his blessings. Look at the hedge around him. In Job 1:9-11, Satan says, does Job fear God for no reason? And argues that if God stretches out his hand against what Job has, Job will curse him to his face. That means the central question in Job is not simply, why do righteous people suffer? It is even deeper than that. Is God worthy when the gifts are gone? That is the question Satan puts on trial. Will Job love God when the blessings disappear? Will Job trust God when the explanation does not come? Will Job worship when worship costs him something? And Job has no idea this is happening. That may be the most haunting part of the story. Job does not get to read chapters 1 and 2. He does not know there is a heavenly conversation. He does not know his faith is answering an accusation. He does not know there is a spiritual dimension to his suffering. He only knows the grave is fresh, the house is empty, the pain is real, and God is not explaining himself. That is what makes Job so honest. The Bible does not give us a sanitized version of suffering. Job cries out. Job questions. Job laments. In Job 3:11, he even asks, why did I not die at birth? He says things that make religious people uncomfortable. He does not pretend it is fine. He does not slap a slogan over the wound. He brings his agony before God. But through all of it, one thing becomes clear. There was more happening than Job could see. From earth, Job looked abandoned. From heaven, Job was being trusted. From earth, Job looked cursed. From heaven, Job's faith was confronting the accuser. From earth, Job's life looked like it was falling apart. From heaven, something eternal was being proven. Now, we need to be careful. The book of Job does not give us permission to explain everyone's suffering with one formula. Not every tragedy is Job's test. Not every loss is a heavenly courtroom scene. And if someone is grieving, the last thing they need is for us to act like we can decode their pain. His friends got in trouble because they thought they understood his suffering better than they did. In Job 42:7, God rebukes Job's friends because they did not speak rightly about him, so we should not use Job to give careless answers. But Job does show us something crucial. Your suffering may have dimensions you cannot currently see. There may be more happening in your pain than your pain can tell you. There may be more at stake than your emotions can measure. There may be more going on in heaven than you can detect on earth. And sometimes the enemy's goal is not just to make you suffer, it is to use your suffering as evidence. Evidence that God is not good. Evidence that faith does not work. Evidence that you only loved God because life was easier before. And that brings us to one of the enemy's oldest names, the accuser.